Okay, let's get started. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to this week's stream. Right on a nice Friday afternoon. It's a good way to wrap up what remains of the week. I'm Eric. I will be your photographer, editor, host, random person who talks for too long today. And yeah, today we are doing photo editing again. Obviously, I gotta get a better camera. Anyway, we are going to be working on. We're going to be working on two different series of photos, one being a collection of photos from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, down on the boardwalk and the beach, that I took several years ago and never really got the chance to edit, so we're going to be working on those. And then we're going to spend some time in from photos from this week, where I went out to Chancellorsville Battlefield in Virginia, which is a Civil War battlefield, and we'll talk about some of the history there as I work on those photos. Some fun little goofy history nuggets coming up on that one. So that's the plan. As always, this is this is an open forum. This is meant to be to kind of pull back the curtain on editing and on post processing of photos. So if you have any questions, if you have comments, if you are a photographer and you want to share your work in the chat, so that so that we can see it, and then anyone who watches the stream can see it. That is awesome. You're more than welcome to do that. Please, as much as this is my platform, I want it to be yours. That as well. If you have any questions, you have any comments, and if I'm doing anything weird with a photo, you want to know why I'm doing it or what's going on, or you want to make suggestions, by all means. Yeah. Hello, Steffi. Welcome to the stream. Glad I can kind of be the voice in your head while you do schoolwork. Hopefully I'm not too much of a distraction. The answer to that third one is C, by the way. Also, hello to I'm gonna say hello to Mia, because we like Mia. Mia is very well behaved. Evelyn, you will get a hello when you acknowledge that you have to listen to Mom. That's just putting that out there. You gotta be good to get hellos on this channel. That's not true. Hello to everyone else. But yeah, with that said, with whatever I just said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into Lightroom. I want to stress this is gonna be we're gonna be doing some Civil War history. We're gonna be doing some photos from my hometown that are near and dear to me. So this is gonna be a very serious stream today. So just letting you all know, just expect to be a little more serious today. We're gonna be editing serious photos. Yeah, I didn't pick the right one for that. Okay. I'm gonna leave this up on screen for a second. We're not gonna be editing this one, but I'm just gonna leave it up there. We're gonna start on the beach photos, and then yeah. All right. So, not counting this one. This is half the photos I take when I'm out are just like, this is a cool thing I want to remember, and half of them are shots I actually want to take pictures of. Let's see. Yeah. So we're gonna be working on some of these here. That are more interesting. Though I do have, talking about graffiti, I do have a couple on here that are that I thought were interesting in terms of the graffiti they sort of bring. So we're going to be spending some time with that. But yeah, let's start. Actually, no, let's start with one of these, because these guys have kind of been, when I was going through these to see if like, all right, are these photos from a couple years ago any good? These like this frame, this composition stuck out at me, so I want to go ahead and do that. Let me do a quick select all, sync, check none, just the crop. I just want to get all these cropped to the kind of awesome. All right, cool. It was fun when I was looking through these. I was going back and forth on which one I wanted to do. That's a lot of times how this kind of editing goes. Is a lot when I'm going through photos, it's like I can usually narrow it down to, okay, there's, I took 6 or 7 frames of a certain composition. Which one's best expressed, and then which ones do I need to kind of get into Lightroom to really see which one's best expressed. So this one, I like this one because this kind of piece is in focus in the foreground, and it's a shallow enough depth of field. What was I shooting on? Okay, I was on a 24 mil at f4. So yeah, so you've got this in focus and this not. And I do kind of like that because it draws your eye better. This one, this one is the same setup, but it's still, the focus is still good there. It's a little bit, I guess my focus is further back. I think what I did was, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I think my focus is a little bit, the first time I took this photo, I probably focused on this. And so at f4, you have a depth of field. It's not super deep, but you do have depth of field. It's not an f1.8 or f2, which is incredibly shallow. That's sweet tea, by the way. So I probably had this area in focus. Hello, Shelby Lynn from Texas. That sounds like I don't know you, and that sounds like I'm just, we have a caller coming in from Texas. Shelby Lynn, you're on the air. No, hello, Shelby Lynn, and also a less enthusiastic but kind of still necessary hello to Texas. Keep doing what you're doing and being the very loud and yet notably smaller state to Alaska. Anyway, so this one probably my focus was a little more forward, probably capturing this area, which meant the tree, though still very clear, very visible, is out of focus. Whereas here, my focus is a little, so I've got a little bit, like the end of this thing is a little more out of focus. The middle of it's actually more out of focus. You got this end of it, very nice, and then that depth of field gets a little more of the tree there. And then here, this is still f4. Yeah, here you've got it's even further back, so that we've got a little more of the tree there. So we're gonna play with all three of them. The interesting thing about depth of field, a lot of the times, if you look at a lens, and you look at the focus ring on a lens, you've got distances that are, I'm gonna grab a lens real quick, and I can kind of demonstrate this. Lens I was hoping for was not attached to my camera, which is good, so I can just pull it up. So on your lens, this is the 24-105. Let's see if I can show this up here. Has got this little viewing window that sort of, I'm not sure where my camera's focusing, but as you turn the focus ring, it changes. It shows it in the viewing window. Some of them just have it written on the lens, but in this case, it's got distances written in feet and in meters, and you go through you got macro, which is the very close stuff, which is your minimum focus distance, and that's different for every lens. And then you will have, on this one, we get kind of you're going from feet. We got 2.5, 3, 5, 10, 20, and then after that, it's just infinity. It just kind of goes to infinity. So there's kind of as you focus on stuff, if it's closer to the camera, within that first 5 to 10 feet, you're gonna have, and every lens will be different with that, but you're gonna have little bits of, you can be much more exact with it. The closer you are, the difference between things is gonna be more exact. As you get further away from the subject, that kind of area of effect widens. So as something gets further away, as you focus further away on it, it will get the difference between 2 and 4 feet on a lens in terms of adjusting the ring is probably about the same as the difference between 10 and 20 feet. So the further away you are, the more kind of latitude you have, which is why this thing, even as my f-stop doesn't change by virtue of either reframing or adjusting my focus a little bit, the further away things end up in focus. But these guys are still far away, so we weren't focused to infinity. So that's what we're gonna take a look at these photos and work on them a bit. I'm debating adjusting the horizon. Let me see what happens if I get the horizon technically correct. Let's see what this photo looks like if I do that. Okay, I don't hate that actually. That's actually pretty good. Let's see, I can pull this up a little bit, which gives me a little bit. Let's see. I really don't want to do much more than that. Let's take a look here. I feel like there's no breathing room on that photo. Let's check these. I do kind of like the off angle, but I also really like how this is. Okay, that one just we're framed out, which is we're gonna come back to that and work on it. Let me reset this. There we go. Let's check this third one, which is probably the. If you told me before we started like pick a photo and this is the one you're gonna edit, odds are it was gonna be this guy. I like this one. All right. Yeah, we're gonna reset that. We're gonna do some adjusting of our own, but I think this is what I want to work on right now. Let's come up here. So we're getting more of this. Maria Elise is in the room.
Hello.
I don't know. It is chilly in here. I don't know why.
Because your door's open and your windows are open.
Is that's having that big of an effect in here? That's weird.
It's pretty toasty.
Your room is toasty. You're welcome to go close my windows if you want to.
Hello, friends.
There you go. Maria Lisa is a hand.
Hello, friends. Hi, Shelby Lynn. I hope you're feeling better.
It's nice to have this mic. You guys can now hear her.
Yep.
Which also might be dangerous. Yeah, keeping an eye on you. Keeping an ear on you, I guess. Alright. Framing wise, I think I like that. I think this is the one I want to work on for now. Let's play with it. I want a little more room on that side. And I'm debating if I want to get rid of that person in the background or not. There's something I do kind of like about them. Yeah, that balance looks pretty good. Yeah. Stephanie says hi.
Hi, Steffi.
Okay, so
You can hear me.
gonna bring down the highlights. Gonna bring up the shadows. Kind of my usual starting point. Shelby Lynn apparently dropped her lunch all over her phone and restarted the stream. So, welcome to everyone else. We are now 17 minutes in the past. I will be doing the rest of this stream in a subjunctive tense of what we would have done. So okay, this is welcome to the challenge. Shelby Lynn says hi as well. And now the challenge I have with every single beach photo I do I lean into kind of like the gentle soft colors that exist in this frame, or do I go for like do I kind of lean into the sunset intensity of it? I think in this case I want to let some of that softness exist, but I also want to keep. Let's bring the. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the softness. I might pump the colors up a little bit, but I want to keep. I like that softness that's there. I'm gonna do a. This is something I always found really interesting in terms of watching other photographers do post processing, because the order in which people do their adjustments. I think it kind of varies photo to photo, but a lot of times I'll see photographers, and I'll do this too, where I'll start like sometimes I come into a photo, I'm like, all right, let's do some global adjustments, and then start masking. There's sometimes I come in, I'm like, okay, masking immediately. We're gonna start off with the masks, and then might maybe do global adjustments at the end. It's really dependent. In this case, I'm like, I know I want to have a little bit of a texture mask down there. I know I'm gonna do a duplicate and invert. And this is one of the things I've started doing in general with a lot of my photography anyway, is just you know what, let me do this a little differently. Let me get rid of that mask. Let me work on mask 1 again, because I want to tweak this a bit with a subtract brush. This will be real simple. Let's get the density all the way up. Kind of bring this down. What I want to do is get rid of that tree. I want to make sure that I'm subtracting everything, but like I want to let that tree still more or less have be its own thing and be a background element. Let's zoom in here, kind of clean this up. But yeah, it's interesting to see like other photographers if they immediately go for masking, if they start global. I tend to start global for the most part. That tends to be my approach, just to kind of get a sense of what the photo is, let the photo sort of tell me what it's, if I put, kind of push its limits a little bit, min-max the sliders a bit, see where the photo's telling me it can do, and then say, okay, now that I know a little more about this photo, I know it a little more intimately, I can, add brush, I can go through and start making this, let's try that again. I can go through and start making this making these small adjustments now that I know what I want this photo to sort of be. All right, just adding a little bit, get this whole thing. There we go. Okay, cool. So now I've already brought the texture up on that. Now I can do the duplicate and invert, and I'll get one that is more, yes, it gets me the tree, and I can take the linear, I can kind of push that up a little bit, so I get it off the edge of my little branch here in the foreground. Got a subtract brush here that I can definitely clean it up with. There we go. Good. Cool. And now I can reduce the texture on that, and it much more clearly gives us a nice foreground background delineation, which is awesome. So cool. We're happy about that. Let me go ahead and get rid of this guy in the back. Let me see what this looks like without that dude. Nothing wrong with the person. I'm sure they're probably a nice guy. Or gal. Hard to tell. They are a shadow. But we'll click that. And all right. Gives us a little bit of something there. Let's do this. Let's do it this way. So, yeah, we'll do the heal there. If you're curious about the healing panel over here, it's a small one. It's simple, but it's worth it. It is very useful, especially when you're cleaning up little spots on lenses and stuff. The way Lightroom currently has it set up is there's 3 different settings. There is remove, or content aware remove, which is if you're a Photoshop user, they've had content aware. I guess After Effects has it too now. They've had content aware stuff for a while, so that's basically it scans around, figures out what the picture looks like, and then tries to remove it that way. The heal brush is one of my favorites, where you select the spot, then it picks a spot where it's like, here's where I think is the best match for it, and then you can adjust that and say, okay, no, I think this is the better spot, kind of get this, and then it will still, the heal brush is kind of the middle ground between the content aware and the clone brush, which we're going to get to. And the healing brush sort of, you kind of pick the spot, tell it what you want it to mimic, and then it kind of lets the AI sort of smooth it out. And then there's the clone brush, which is just a literal, just exact copy. So I switch back and forth between these two. They're pretty close because I did a good job of picking a spot, but like if you click that, it smooths it out a little bit, which is nice. And then the clone one changes it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go with the heal one because I think that one looks good. Nice. Let's see. I also want to do this spot right here on the edge. Just that little bit of a flare there. That one I'm actually gonna let it do the remove on. There we go. Cool. So close that panel, and now our background is clear, which is nice. I don't need to crop that anymore. I'm actually going to crop in this side a little bit. The necessity of, I don't know. Something about the way this is framed, I like it. It bothers me in exactly the right way, so I'm happy about this. Okay, so let's see. Now let's do some overall global adjustments. I'm not going to bring up the clarity or the dehaze. I'm going to let them both be their own little thing. I'm going to do that with masks. I'm going to bring up the clarity a little bit on the ground, just to actually. I honestly don't think I want to do that. Dehaze. Pull the dehaze back even a tiny bit. Maria Lisa is heading out. She says goodbye.
Have a good stream.
She wishes us a good stream. There we go. A little bit of. I feel like I'm breaking the verisimilitude there a little bit. So let's do that. Give it a little bit more color in the sky. Come back here and let the dehaze kind of just be its own. Oh wow, that's a very powerful effect. I'm gonna bring it down to like just a little bit. We're gonna work on this when we get down to color here, though. There's gonna be a lot of blue. The other thing we could do, and I'm not sure, I don't think I need to. The other thing I sometimes do with beach photos is I will adjust the color temperature of the sand versus the sky. And like we could give it more of a bluish look. We could give it more of a look like that. I don't think I want to. I may try doing a subject mask. Let me see what the subject mask gets me. Select subject is better for people, so doing landscapes, it's kind of a crapshoot. Interesting to see what it picks. Well, that's just wrong. That's just completely wrong. I see why it went with that, but that's just wrong. Well, we can't trust AI. One of many reasons we can't trust AI. Let me try a color range. Let me see if I can get a color range in here and get this thing. Okay, that's too much. Let's pull this back. Nah, that's not really getting me what I want. Let's try one other one to try is a luminance range. Should be here. And then we can adjust bit by bit. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna leave that mask and not do anything to it and just come back to it later. I'm gonna work on that some more. Okay, let's come down to colors. Let's come down and work on color. Pushing up blue obviously is gonna do some wild things to the sky, which I don't hate. I'm actually going to. Okay, I've got an idea. So we're gonna push that up because the reason I like this is because it's pushing in this blue on this guy down here, and I like that. I'm gonna reduce the color of the sky in a second. Yellow is just the sky for the most part. That can, it's not really much. Orange is gonna be a similar thing. The orange is again giving me some nice highlights on our piece here. So that's gonna be, we're gonna focus on that. Reds are getting our tree. The reds are gonna stay where they are. Greens, yeah, not really, pretty non-existent. Hey, Mia, I completely support camping. I support camping in the house. However, if something I've found, something that's very cool about camping in the house is camping outside, you have to use a tent. Camping in the house, you can make pillow forts. So if you're looking for like a way to camp in the house that mom might be a little more okay with, consider pillow forts. Pillow forts are an underrated art. All right, there we go. Let's bring up some purples and some of the magentas that are in that thing. Reds, and the reds are just on the tree. They're not really. There's a little bit of red on that thing. Okay, let's do that. Okay, cool. I am on your side. I don't want her setting up a tent in the house, but I like, more important than whose side I am on, I am always a staunch supporter of pillow forts in every capacity. If I could be streaming from a pillow fort, I would be. So, I am streaming in slippers though. So, and Shelby Lynn, I would like to let you know we are still supporters of toe wiggling here. We will always be staunch advocates for wiggling of toes. All right. Cool. So we've now pulled up the colors on this guy a lot more, and now we can go back up to masking. This is the other thing that I've noticed when I edit photos a lot of the time is I tend to it never comes in waves. It's never, okay, we've done masking and now we're going to do global adjustments and now we're going to do color. It always ends up being kind of, okay, we've got masks and now we're going to do some global stuff. Now we're going to go back to the mask and tweak that. And then we're going to do this color thing and then the mask will compensate for it in the mask. And that tends to be the way that this goes. So, let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Ooh, old-fashioned wood-fired stove, camping in the living room, and an Aurora machine. That is like, I mean, you're not gonna be able to substitute the entire camping experience, but that's a lot of the highlights right there. It's a lot of what makes camping great. Also, let me tell you, like, the idea, the chance to, like, I know there's a hotel in Norway, I think, where like the cabins you're in are these clear. I don't know if they're, I'm not sure if they're acrylic or plexi or glass, like igloos. But the idea is you're camping, you're up there, you're in these igloos. You can have heaters, you can be warm, but it's totally glass. So you're looking up at and you can see the aurora, and that just is like, that sounds like the perfect camping, sort of camping, like outdoor living experience to me. Okay, cool. So now we've done that. Now we're gonna crank up the saturation down here. No, okay, we're not going to do that. That is actually not what I want to do. I am realizing I probably do need a mask separate for this thing and separate for the sand. So let's work on that. Let's see. Okay, going to brighten that up a little more because brightening that up will give us, will give us a little more. Will help those colors and that detail come out a little bit. I'm gonna up the saturation a bit. The blue, the blue that's in that sand there is interesting to me. I don't know if that's just the light being cast on it or what. Let's see. All right, push this a little bit toward yellow. I'll push it a little toward purple if we wanted to. It kind of touches on that purple hour light. Yeah, a little bit of that is actually pretty nice. Let's go to like, we go to like 15, something like that. I like that a lot. It's too much. Couldn't even get the full sentence out. Let's go to 10. 10 seems good. Yeah, I'm actually happier with this than I thought I was gonna be. Let me see this overlay. Is that covering? I feel like I want to add more. I'm gonna get my brush out and kind of just get the sand back here. Let's zoom in. Just touch up these areas here. I was doing a bit of a gradient, but I don't think I need to right now. I think I'd rather have it kind of could be a little more global. Not more global, but yeah, it doesn't need to fade. It's more like this photo doesn't. I don't really need to hide the distinct difference between foreground and background. I don't need it to be super subtle. It can just be, it's obvious. Foreground is our branch that looks kind of. I keep wanting to say it's whalebone. It is absolutely not. It is a piece of a tree. But foreground is that. Background is the tree and the sky and all that stuff. So this can all do this. Cool. Yeah. I like that a lot. There's something about, all right, let's adjust. I want to adjust the crop a little bit. Again, going back to nothing is ever, it's never do this, then do this, then do this. It's always it's an ongoing process. Cool. All right. Do I actually need something on just this guy? Part of me thinks I do. Part of me thinks I don't. I'd like to brighten it up a little more. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's do I don't want to do this. I think luminance range was the closest I came, so let's do. Actually, we already have this mask. I can delete that. Cancel. No, just delete. Just forget the mask. We're gonna go to here. All right. So luminance range, and basically what I'm doing here is I'm getting it so that our entire branch is selected. Like, for the most part, there's a couple spots on here that I can touch up. Then we're gonna do subtract brush. Actually, we'll do an add brush first. Do an add brush, so I can get those last few spots that need to be brushed in. So here, no, I'm all on board with the three of you starting a group chat. Like, I feel like I'll be, taking me back to my memories of being a kid watching Captain Planet. I'm honestly surprised you guys don't have a group chat already. Yeah. Shelby Lynn, here's the thing. This is that weird paradox where it's like, I agree with the outcome you came to, but I don't agree with the aggressiveness with which you agreed to it. So I'm just gonna say that attitude is why you've been banished to Texas. Let's see. But also, I'm slowly catching up on the chat because I'm getting involved in this photo editing that I'm doing here. And you guys said meta napping, and my my assumption was I did not go to kidnapping or rescues. I went to napping in bed, and so I was like, oh, this is you guys. My first thought was you guys are gonna start a group chat to just all be like, all right, we're gonna synchronize nap times and just all take collective adorable naps, sort of, and sort of together but separate. And I'm like, that sounds like the most wholesome idea. I fully support this. I also fully support the kidnapping of Shelby Lynn, but yeah, that was my first read on this, is that we are doing a group chat to discuss naps, like sleeping naps, and that also sounds great. Okay, we've now got our whole whalebone thing here done. Again, not a real whalebone, but I'm going to keep saying it because that's what it looks like, and I like that. And now we're going to take the subtract brush and get rid of everything else. And this is kind of my approach when the select subject thing doesn't work for a nature shot, is I find the other one that will probably that will overdo it, but another masking tool that will get me pretty much the whole thing, and also hopefully give me a good divide between what I want to keep and what I want to erase, and I can just go through with the subtract brush and clear that out. Sometimes I'll use a linear mask or a circle to kind of get rid of everything else, and then just clean it up with a brush. But this one's pretty easy to do with the brush. That, and it's fun when you've got a whole area that you can just totally brush off without kind of indiscriminately, like this tree was. Needing to sort of count, not a whole lot. Okay, now I got to get this stuff, which is a little more difficult. But to anyone who's just joining the stream, welcome. We're happy to have you here. We're doing some beach shots from New Jersey. So this is the fabled Jersey Shore, with a substantial decrease in number of New Yorkers. Or Bennies, as they are insultingly known and rightfully known. This is another thing that I feel like it's like Photoshop really is the really the undisputed king of masking off stuff and doing selected areas of photos, but Lightroom's tools have really jumped up lately, and I want to stress one of the awesome things about this that I don't necessarily always need to use, and I enjoy using the brush, but is the fact that because you can apply multiple masks to the same, or multiple masking techniques to the same mask, you can do some really cool selective stuff with add a luminance mask and then subtract with a color mask or that kind of thing. So there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of opportunity there for some really good selective stuff. You want to use the tools as artistically as we can in as many new ways as we can think up. Because that is how growth and change happen. I'm actually curious to go back to the original version of Lightroom, not the original version, because I wasn't on the original version that I was working with. I'm sure OG Lightroom was even more even further back. I would be even more lost, but I'd be curious to go back to the Lightroom that I started with and try to use it now and see if wow, man, all these tools that I'm used to are gone. Okay, let's clean up that. There we go. All right, so we've got our piece mostly selected. Actually entirely selected. So now I can, actually not even the HUD, so I'm going to crank the exposure a little bit on it. Not nearly that much. Let's go to, that works. And now, because it's my favorite thing to do ever, give me this back, we're going to do a duplicate and invert. There we go. Where's my subtract mask? Because I want to clear off a little bit of bleed here. There we go. Not enough to really worry about, but just for posterity. I mean, hopefully, Stephanie, hopefully people will read the chat, be confused, be intrigued, and then want to get in on it. So I don't know. It's up to you guys if you guys want to open up the meta napping to the general public. But I feel like there's a lot of people who could benefit from some good meta naps. For the record, for anyone who's just joined, the jury is still out on whether or not that means kidnapping or sleeping or both. Takes me back to that Cyanide and Happiness comic of the cops showing up to investigate a guy, and they're like, "We heard there was a kidnapping." And he means, "Oh, this one?" And you look over and there's a child who is asleep. And they're like, "Oh, so that's your kid then?" He's like, "No, I found him at the park." Okay, so cool. So we got that. I can push this a little bit that way. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Now that I've got this inverted mask, I'm going to subtract the sky. because I want to be able to push the sand and the tree a little bit more toward yellow while not losing the blue that's in the sky. And the fact that you can do this, there we go. Subtracted the sky, and now we've got just the sand and the tree. And I can push that a little more toward yellow, and I can go back to here, and I can maintain the blue and the purple that make this bone branch thing interesting. Let's get up the saturation a little more if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I kind of like, I don't want to go too purple. I want it to kind of have its thing. Push it to green and get really weird. That's interesting. Doesn't fit with the color of the photo. I might do that as a global adjustment. Shelby Lynn, are you sure? I think we need confirmation on that. I do not know if we are actually not a napping/kidnapping cult. And if we are not, we may need to have discussions to figure out if we want to be. Not gonna lie, sounds kind of nice. Kidnapping people and forcing them to have fulfilling sleeps doesn't seem like the worst idea to me. Yeah, push the shadows up a little bit. Weird. This is the thing I notice I do a lot of is like I've some photos I don't do a whole lot of like big global adjustments on, but I will do like select most of the image and then do global adjustments. Cool. That is, I think this is that okay? Do I want to turn, so if I turn this off? Yeah, I think bringing up the shadows is the problem there. I think I need a little bit of the bring this down a bit. Let's go back to this one. We're going to bring the saturation up a little bit more because I'm going to come down here. I think the blue on that thing is a little too much. We're going to bring that down. I want it to be present while not being distracting. The purple, I think, is but I have a way to fix that. Okay, and the magenta, yeah, we're gonna keep those up. We'll do it like that for now. We're gonna come down to our luminance, which we haven't touched it much yet. We're gonna leave the blues alone. But if we bring up the purples and the magentas, that kind of desaturates a little bit. Cool. Let's go back to here. Up to the top of this mask. I'm gonna put this back. There we go. That's the right. Sometimes you adjust it too much. Sometimes you look back and you're like, that didn't need that. Same here, honestly. I'm looking back at this and be like, we've gone a little too far. Let's take that to like 4. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I'm pretty happy with how that's coming out. If we do let's go back to here. If we do a before and after, definitely got a lot of sharpness to it. I like that a lot better. I'm going to, because I can't not, I'm going to try to see what a black and white version looks like. That also looks good. You notice the composition more. And that was the thing that stuck out to me about this one anyway. So let's do a virtual copy. We will do a black and white version. There we go. Let's go back to here. So now, with black and white, we're going to be a little more. Let's see. With black and white, I want the sky to be a bit brighter. The gradient in the sky is less important, and it can just be more of a white. The magentas and stuff can come up. The reds can come up a little bit because now it's all about just brightness. Yellows, now we'll leave that where they are. Oranges, can bring them up a little bit, but not much. Something like that. There we go. Let's come up here to. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Let's look at our masks. Our masks have all been copied, so they're all the same. What's this photo missing? Let's look at this one. I think I want to bring the shadows down a little bit. I don't know, that's. Yeah, no, the black and white here really does help it stand out more. I'm a fan of that. I'm gonna leave that alone. I think I'm gonna bring the blacks down a touch. Ooh, actually bringing the blacks up is not a bad idea. And then what I'm gonna do is come back to this one here. I can bring the blacks down in the background a little bit because I want to do. Having a little more contrast in there, I think, is good. Something like that, I think, looks pretty good. I feel like there's something more to adjust here. Let me dehaze it a little bit more. That weird thing. I'm trying to find that balance and how much detail I want in that out of focus tree and how much I want it to just be a black element so you notice our branch in the foreground. I don't want it to be a silhouette, which is a weird thing for me to say. I don't want a silhouette. I want a little bit of darkness. Ooh, mix with some texture. There we go. That's the way to do it. Let's put the dehaze back. That's what it was. It was a clarity slider I needed. Clarity slider. A little bit of. Put the blacks back. Put the shadows back, maybe. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the. I'll let the focus. I'll let the out of focus be the dividing thing. I can let them both be bright. That works. Awesome. That looks phenomenal, actually. I'm really, really happy with that. I was not expecting to be that happy that quickly. Okay. 3 and 3. All right. So we've got our two photos there, our black and white versions of each of these. Yeah, now I'm gonna come back to this and wonder. This is another thing where I like to this is one of the reasons these photo edits take as long as they do, and why I think it's important is to you get this. Put the shadows up a little bit. You gain this nice perspective as you work on it. Let's look at it in black and white. That works better. Let's tweak that, and you try things, you gain perspective, and it lets you come at each thing fresh and kind of your understanding of the photo and what it can be develops, which is great because every artistic experience should also be a learning experience. Let's see. Bring the texture up is not bad, but it's gonna do some stuff with the sky. So let's do a duplicate. Let's duplicate that. We're going to reset all the sliders. I don't want them doing anything. All I'm going to do is reset saturation. I'm going to bring the texture all the way up. And we're going to do subtract the sky again. So this mask is just going to be pretty much just the tree and a little bit of the ground. Just the tree, actually. There we go. Cool. And now, by bringing that texture up, I can also bring up the highlights sort of around it. Shadows a bit. I can let this push a little bit more toward purple. Not that much. Actually, a little more toward. There we go. That makes the tree part of it. Haha. Gotcha. There we go. Nice. All right. So that's that photo done. Really happy with this. Once again, doing beach photos, I think I wasn't expecting to like the black and white as much as I do, but I really, really do like that. That is very cool. All right. Let's see. We're gonna kind of ping pong back and forth between these photos and the battlefield. So let's go to Chancellorsville Battlefield, which is very different kinds of photos. Let's hit develop. Because this is a hike in Virginia in this past week, so we're talking January, typical January weather in the mid-50s. And yeah, this is the Chancellorsville Battlefield is notable for being the site that Stonewall Jackson got shot. So it's not the spot he died on. There's a spot that is listed as his death site, which is capitalizing on the fact that that's where he died because he was taken back from the line to a hospital. Field hospital of some kind, and then passed away a few days later.
Maria-Lisa's MacBook Pro disconnected.
Aha. Maria-Lisa just disconnected her phone or her computer from the Bluetooth speaker in here, which probably means she just realized she was connected to the Bluetooth speaker in here. Yeah, it was. But anyway, yeah. So this is the battlefield where Stonewall Jackson. I keep saying Samuel L. Jackson, and this is not true. Samuel L. Jackson is awesome and cool. Stonewall Jackson is a rebellious traitor. But this is the spot where Stonewall Jackson was shot. And here's the thing I didn't know: he was shot by his own men, accidentally. So with that said, let's do another photo of something kind of, foreground background on a weird horizon, and we're gonna do this one of this this tree and this branch here. Let's see, got a couple different versions of this as well. The focus there is very crisp. Let's see what the one here looks like. This one's a little softer, and this one is. Oh, it's also pretty good, but I think I like the tilted angle. I might adjust a little bit, but I like that. Okay. Oh, this one gets the whole tree. This one might be the one I have to go with, and just kind of live with it being a little bit out of focus because it's a better composition. All right, that's pretty good. Let's bring this in here. I may try to get rid of some of the road back there. I don't know if it matters too much. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, as I start to work on this, yes, it's worth knowing Stonewall Jackson shot by his own men. The fighting had stopped for the night. The various sides had gone back to their lines. He decided to go forward to do some reconnaissance. Went in front of his own line, and on his way back, he was ambushed by his own Confederates, who, when they tried to tell them, "You are shooting at your own men," somebody yelled back, "This is." Something to the effect of that's a trick. Don't listen to them. Keep shooting. And so they did, and that's how he died. And that is worth noting because it kind of goes contrary to the myth of, and not that he wasn't a decent tactician and a very aggressive military guy, but. It's worth noting. Some of these things are worth noting, just in terms of just the things that get left out of the myths are usually the things that make people more human and make the stories more interesting. You should always wonder what gets left out of the myths. There's a general. Okay, so same kind of deal with what we just did there. What we did in the other one. We're doing a mask here. That is. Let me see the overlay. Yeah, I did a mask that's just the foreground. I'm probably going to do a separate mask just to get rid of the grass. But for now, yeah, we're going to do it like that. And here's the difference. In this case, I was shooting at f14. Let me do a duplicate. Duplicate that mask. Bring the texture down on this one. I'm actually going to bring the texture way down, and I'm going to. Let's see, I want to do something that makes it look really obvious. There we go. No, I'll just do the overlay. Makes life a little bit easier. Here's our subtract brush, and we're going to subtract our piece of wood here. Anyway, unlike the other photo where the tree in the background was out of focus, it's also funny looking at this photo and being like, I'm editing photos from shoots that are years apart because the beach photo that we just did is pre-pandemic. Despite doing that, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm still editing a photo of a branch in the foreground and a tree in the background. We're gonna move on to other stuff, I swear, in a sec. But anyway, so this one shot at f14 as opposed to f4, which is intentional because I wanted to make sure that I got the tree in focus and gave us something to work with there. So, whereas the other one, the focus was more on that branch, and the tree is a nice background element that kind of gives context. In this case, the photo is about the relationship between the branch and the tree. So, it makes sense that they're both in focus. All right, let's do that. Let's get rid of this. There we go. And on this one, neatness isn't super exact. This is mostly going to be a texture adjustment as far as I know. Maybe a little bit of color, but not a lot of light. And light, I think, is where you really notice when you start messing with stuff. So here we go. It's pretty good. I want to get. Can afford to get a little more of the bottom there. Turn the overlay off. What am I seeing here? Yeah, it's mostly just dipping into shadow, and that's fine. We can get some of that shadow out of here. Actually, no, let's leave the shadow. Let's leave that shadow alone. Let's do it because I want it to feel as organic as possible here. There we go. Okay, cool. So now, turn the overlay off. I can do that. I can push this a little more toward green to make it stand out. I can bring the clarity down, but that's going to be, I can bring it down a little bit, and that'll help. I'm going to dehaze up a little bit. Push it a little more blue. I'll leave that where it is. I'll play with it as I go. Yeah, so that helps. Okay, cool. All right, what else do I want to do with this one? Honestly, pretty happy with how this photo looks right now. Look at the black and white version of this. Black and white might be the way to go here. I think it is. Let's see what else. Yeah, at least desaturated. Ooh, a desaturate version of this I think is a good idea. I haven't really done a whole lot of like overtly desaturated photos. And I'm about to go down and play with the colors and bring up certain ones. But like, I think a desaturated photo works for this. I think this is what this needs, which is weird because I don't think I've ever thought that before in my life. That is fucking cool. All right, back to color. Let's come down and do some color work here. This is mostly going to be playing with luminance. So oranges, yeah, let's bring those up. That's going to bring up some tree and some stuff. Yellow is going to affect the whole field, which is actually good. Bringing that up gives us some contrast to our branch. If I bring that down, it gives us even more contrast. Let's keep that. We'll do that. We can up the saturation on it a little bit. I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to let this be sort of desaturated as is. Let's bring the greens down as well, or bring the greens up, down. Makes the branch stand out more, but also gives us more, we don't lose the texture as much. If I could bring the greens up and the yellows down. I don't know. Bring the highlights up like that. Do it that way. Nah, I like the bright grass. And I think I like that a little bit better. Though our eyes are drawn to the brightest thing. Let's try the other direction. Let's go against what I think I want to do. And just see what happens if I do this. If I draw our eyes to the bright tip of that branch and let the line lead us to the tree. Do it like this. Okay. Aquas. Not really having an effect. Not really relevant. And then blues. Same deal. That's sky versus not sky. I think I want to keep that. Let's see, reds doing much? Not really. Come back here. And then a little bit of purple in the sky. Okay, let's bring that up a bit. Magenta? Nah, not really doing much. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Let's go ahead and adjust hue first. So we can push that grass. That's interesting. Not quite the way I wanted to do a desaturated photo, but it's interesting. It's really intense blues there. I'm gonna come back to this one. This one I'm liking it. There's a decent chance I'm done already. Decent chance that this is like, that's what I want this photo to just be, and just have this kind of feeling to it. Let's do another one from this shoot. Let's do this Canon one. There's a couple ones I took of Canons that I kind of want to play with. So this one should be a fairly easy one to just kind of take to just do. think I want to go this. I think I want to do include the height of the sky, though. We'll see. Okay. So let's adjust our crop first. There we go. Come on, Lightroom. Let me do it. Lightroom also, like Shelby Lynn, is doing this from the past. Actually, first things first. Let me pull the highlights and the whites down. Let me see what I got there, because that's gonna be where the sky comes in. Okay, cool. So we got the sky to work with. Bring the clarity up. My dehaze. Yeah. Okay. We got plenty to work with in the sky there, which is awesome. And the highlights really aren't affecting anything else, so that's fine. Let's do a mask and select the sky. Step 1. Or step 2, I guess. And this photo is kind of the classic kind of first photo that you take that I took when I came. I'm like, all right, let's get that sky in there. Let's get the Canon. Let's get the fairly obvious, straightforward thing to take a picture of. It's funny because it's like one of the last photos I took coming out here. I was trying to avoid doing it. Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed I was coming through your neighborhood. Let's see. Okay, sky can do its thing. Texture. I like the texture in the sky there. I like having that detail. I'm not sure. It's actually not really noisy. That's very good that I exposed this to that degree. Okay, let's do a quick. This is actually one time I do want to get my horizon level. This time actually makes sense. So we're gonna get to right about there. Perfect. Slight adjustment. That's good. All right. I would actually like to get that second cannon out of the shots. Let's see what I can do. See if I can do that. Let's come down to here. I'm gonna try it with the content aware remove, and if that doesn't work, I'm gonna use the heal brush. That's pretty good, actually. I think the heal one will be better though. There we go. Come out here, get that line closer to exactly right, and let it do a little bit of work. Still got a little bit in there, but that's survivable. Okay, cool. So good. Let's go back in. This time I'm going to use the content aware, and you can sort of layer these on top of each other a little bit. Why is that still coming up? Work our way through these slight adjustments. I'll just clone it. Yeah, sometimes the AI doesn't totally work. Yeah, cloning's actually better in this case. All right, cool. Let's adjust this just a little bit to make sure that's exactly level. Nice. There we go. Makes it a little crisper, a little more clean. Our cannon is still centered, which is good. I pull this up and make this. Yeah, that's better. You notice the cannon more. You notice the shadow of the cannon. We're going to talk about that because I've got another photo that really leans into that. Okay, back to doing some global adjustments. Actually, not sure I need to do too much of. I'm actually really happy with how this looks. Maybe that's why I never want to edit these photos. Is because I'm looking at this going like, right, this is correct. This doesn't need anything else. It's better in color. It's better kind of having the different layers of it. All right, if I tell it to select the subject, what's it going to give me? I'm curious. See if it actually will give me the cannon, or if it's going to give me a weird mix of the cannon and the trees behind it. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Oh, nope, it's going through the spokes. Never mind. That's going to be obnoxious to try to fix, and I'm not too worried about that as is. Okay. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, trying to clear out those spokes would be kind of a nightmare. If I wanted to do it that way, I think the way to do it would be a luminance mask. You then pull down to do that, and then we'll intersect with a subject selection. That's getting there. Okay, that's better. something closer to be able to work with. Back to the luminance mask, and I can still adjust this, which is nice. That it's non-destructive. Okay, now we're gonna add another luminance range. We're gonna get this bright spot here. Just sort of helping. I want to widen the latitude of that. And then same deal, intersect with subject. Nice, coming along. Now we can do a subtract color. We can start subtracting the sky looking through there. This is me kind of trying to show off and get a chance to be a little more creative with this. All right, another mask, another one, subtracting color again. I'm gonna get rid of the grass. There we go. It's a refinement process. We go all the way. Something like that works. Cool. And now we're gonna subtract with a brush, and we're gonna clean up just the individual details here because some of those spots are not gonna get clean. So we're gonna zoom in. I'm just going to work on this wheel over here. This is kind of going to start off our little primary adventure of working on photos that are about more photos that are about the interaction of humans and the land. And so this is we've done our tree photos that are kind of just beauty and abstract of like relationship between natural thing to natural thing. Not that humanity is not part of the natural world, and I really wish I could come up with a good way to easily, succinctly say that, because I do believe I hate when we discuss like the line between humanity and nature, and it's like they're one and the same. The idea that humanity is separate from nature is an arbitrary thing humans thought up to make ourselves special, which is funny because if I'm comparing the two, nature certainly seems to be the better option. I don't see how you look at humanity and nature and go, of course, humanity, clearly the winner. Road over here, but yeah, we're looking on finding a succinct and better way to say that, to discuss the difference, to discuss the relationship that we have, that these two parts of the natural world have to each other. Just one of them is substantially whinier. Yeah. The overlay off for a sec. Some of these darker parts are going to be obnoxious. Let's bring that brush up a little bit. There we go. Let's do this. Let's desaturate this whole thing. That's not making a noticeable difference. Okay, let's crank the exposure. There we go. That's better. That'll help. And now I can see much more clearly what I need to erase. this weird ghost cannon sort of look here. Yeah, we gotta do that whole other section over there too. That's all pretty fine. A little bit there, a little bit here. All right, let's come up here. Let's clear out this section. Let's get this area here, the underbelly of the cannon. This is why contrast is important, because black forest with black cannon in the foreground, and you got to do this. Okay, let's take a look. That's pretty good. Actually, I really don't hate that whole push the exposure to the point that it becomes kind of aggressively ridiculous and gives us this kind of white cannon look. I honestly don't hate that. Yeah, no, Shovelin, I'm genuinely considering keeping this, even as it is completely wrong in the best way. But we now have our cannon selected. If I bring up the blacks and the shadows. Yeah, there's something about this that I really, really like. All right, let's do a duplicate. Oop, nope. Actually, that also kind of really works. Undo. Let's do a duplicate and invert. So now we have the other side of this thing. And we're going to the inverted one, we're going to do a quick subtract subject. Just to clean that up a little more. Oh, you're putting the inside of the wheels. Never mind. We'll leave that as is if I need to desaturate. But let's see. Honestly, you know what? Let's get rid of that. Let's duplicate this one. And then let's invert it. And turn that off. Yeah, there's something kind of cool about the all white version of it, like this. I don't hate that. I'm going to adjust it a little bit as a mask. Lightroom, leave my panel alone. And this is unquestionably completely overexposed, and that's okay. We're very happy about this. We can dehaze a little more. Bring the exposure down and just let dehaze do this, which will be a little more of a controlled option, slightly. There we go. That's going to give you more of that ghostly touch to it, which I like. The blacks can come down. A little more of that. The shadows can... No, the shadows are going to stay up. And the highlights and the whites. Yeah, the highlights can come up. It gives us a little bit of that. And the whites can come... No, the whites can stay up. This is a very overexposed photo in a good way. And this one's going to be black and white without question. Okay. Let's do a copy. Because we're going to play with these individually. Okay, so first one, black and white. There we go. Ghost cannon standing there amidst the overblown sky, which is great. Keep those shadows more or less right where they were. A little bit. We just want enough hint of the landscape that it's there. We don't want to. Yeah, just a little bit, just that little hint of it. I like that a lot. Man, this looks so bad in the best way. I really love this. I love this so fucking much. For anyone who's curious about getting a print of this, it's going to be up on my website in the Painted Dreams collection. This is going to be one of those much more artistic approaches to a photo, which I really like. All right, I'm going to come back to this other one that we were working with to make it a little more, and we are going to turn off that mask, turn this one back on, and we're going to adjust this. You know, we're going to do multiple copies. Let's do another version. We're going to do multiple. So we're going to have the pure white one. We're going to have this one that's going to be the ghost cannon kind of amidst the... Oh, yeah, that's a global adjustment. Don't want to do that. I want to do it on the mask. And then we're gonna have this one that is the white Canon amidst everything else, and then we're gonna have the realistic one. Here we go. Then we have the one that's a little more realistic. All right. If I turn on the clipping mask, we are not clipping on that Canon. That is bizarre to me. Brighten that up. Turn the clipping mask on so I can see when I do actually hit that line. There's a couple spots I've hit it, but not much. Yeah, and that's the other thing is like when we were out on this battlefield, I had the feeling that like we're walking amongst ghosts, and so, and the idea that the Canon is this kind of gross thing that is, ooh, Shelby Lynn, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, that's funny. That is I'm loving how much people love that photo. Because that was one that I don't know, there was something like, actually, hang on, I will show you, I'll show you why that delights and surprises me. 1 second. I'm going to pull up, I know you guys can still hear me. I'm going to pull up some of the other photos from that same place, just to give an idea of what else is there. There it is. Cool, so we're going to come on back to here. So if anyone was wondering, this is the photo that Shelby Lynn is talking about. This is from Sprague Lake at Rocky Mountain National Park, and it is I don't know, something about this. I was whenever I'm around, I mean, I try as a person in general that I'm like, I know I look down too much. I was making a conscious effort to like look up, and I'm around the mountains, so I'm looking up at the mountains more, and I looked straight up and I saw this, and I actually did a few different versions of this photo. But yeah, this one, I really love how this one came out, but just the rest of the area I was in looks like this. This is Sprague Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. So if you want photos from that same location, this is kind of what they look like. This is, some of the mountains there. Did some more trees. Yeah, that's another reason I like giving people framed prints, especially ones like on tabletop frames, because you can change up the way they look. But yeah, this is the other side of the lake. Looking across there at there's the shot that I love. There's the one, like just getting down to the water's edge and seeing the mountains, the trees, and the water coming in and the sky following kind of all in concert with each other. But yeah, so that is, and there's your National Park Service bench. But yeah, so that's some of the shots from Sprague Lake. For where that photo came from, Shelby Lynn. So now you know. You've got a photo from Rocky Mountain National Park. Though the beauty of that photo, apart from the fact that I know how much you love trees, beauty of that photo is that it kind of just, you can take trees anywhere and they can be anywhere, and it's just, doesn't matter where, it doesn't have to be specific to a place. It's trees. It's trees that you can take with you. And Stephanie, by the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned this. The photo you have is Lafayette Cemetery in New Orleans. All right, we're still adjusting this. Let's bring that bringing the contrast up gives us a little more of that detail in there. I'm still amazed we're not clipping out on that Canon. That is phenomenal. Really, again, talks about the difference when you shoot raw and what you can do with it. Okay, so. Yeah, we don't look up like that kind of way in as much these days. We really don't, and it's there's when you're a kid, you're full of that wonder, and I wanted to, I guess through most of my photography, I want to try to capture that in some way. All right, I'm gonna turn this thing back on and just reset it, because I don't want it to be this super bright thing. I want to be able to adjust it. Mostly adjusting the saturation. Ooh, actually, let's keep that. Bring up the clarity. Dehaze a little bit. I have to do a little bit of brush work on this. Bring up some highlights. Bring up some shadows. And take it back. Bring up some blacks. There we go. So we now have 3 different versions of this photo. Yeah, no, you were, and that's you know, something I absolutely love about having you here and getting to see that with you. There you go. I like that better. We're gonna come back. We're gonna do this differently. All right, let's work on this one. Coming back to doing what the original reason to do this mask was. Just gonna reset all this. Okay, so now what we want to do is want to crank up the texture there. I want to make this thing stand out as much as I can. Let's see. Come to you. See this one, I'm going to bring the clarity down. Yeah, let that be. Actually, if I bring the texture down even a little bit more, I can let this be about that canon, which is what I want it to be. The clarity up a little. Nah. Let's put the texture back. Give that, yeah, dehazing a little bit helps. Bringing the shadows up a little bit will help the canon stand out even more from the background. Contrast a little bit, and I'll come back to the sky. Bring the highlights down more so we don't lose the cool detail that's up there with the clouds. Maybe a little bit less. There we go. And then come back to the canon here, and I can do a little more work with it. Can dehaze it a bit. Highlights aren't really doing me much. Shadows are going to brighten it up a little, which I don't really want it. I almost want to silhouette it. Not entirely. So if I do the shadows up and the blacks down, that'll be the way to go. Cool. All right, so here we go. 3 different versions of the same thing. We've got the more standard photo. We've got our ghost canon here, which, yeah, looks pretty good. I might come back and revise that one. I'm gonna go ahead and set that. Start setting ratings. I'm gonna set that one at a 2. I'm gonna set this one at a 3 because this is kind of the classic. Looks good. And then we got my favorite, which I think is gonna be a lot of people's favorite, just the black and white canon, where in many ways, like there is a bit of a landscape back there, but the canon is just so overwhelming to it, and it does sort of dirty up the frame in that way. I like that a lot. I really, really do. Let me see. There's one other thing I want to try because I've got the sky mask here anyway. Is there a way to get even a little bit of detail in that sky? There is, just a little bit. Just the tiniest bit. Just a little bit of detail in the sky. Bring the texture down. Yeah, bring the clarity's fixing that problem I was having. Yes, bring the clarity up to kind of help smooth over that line. Haha, look at that. Oh, I can't describe much. I love this photo. This is, that's fucking phenomenal. I love it. I love it so fucking much. Ha! This probably just made my whole weekend. Getting this photo. Yeah, and it does. It still feels like it's got a ghostly quality to it. It still feels haunted. Phenomenal. That's awesome. Okay. While I'm on this kick, let's do another photo from here, and then we'll jump back to the beach. Let's do this photo. One of these. I gotta pick the one I want to do here. There was this other big tree. I'll show you the tree here. There was this tree. This tree here. There's this there. So where we are, real quick, just for context, is we're at the. This is the site of the Chancellor House, which eventually became the Chancellorsville Inn, and then eventually became ruins because the army destroyed it. The Confederates destroyed it. The rebels. And one of the things I'll say this, something I appreciate about the park rangers at this place. It's a national park service facility. The way they talked about and I get this is how I think we should talk about this, and if I think this is like in this terms and in stronger terms, discussing the two sides of the Civil War, and it was the Confederates and the United States. And I like that because it doesn't allow the Confederacy to be part of the United States because they weren't. This was like the Confederacy. The way you feel about January 6th is the way you should probably feel about the Confederacy. Shelby Lynn, you were only a rebel when you escape your hospital room in a wheelchair and go tearing off down the hallways. But anyway, so we'll talk about the Chancellorsville Inn while I edit this photo. But there was this tree here, and this fence, and of course I always like the idea of the tree trunk, branches, wood down to what people have made of it. But there was this tree, and something that caught my eye was the way the sun's over to the side is it's catching the shadows and kind of casting them down onto the ruins and the foundation here. And I don't think I got a wide shot of any of this. There's a couple spots like this is the cannon, but the out of focus here. I can get it in focus. Here we go. This is part of the front steps from the Chancellor House and then eventually the Chancellorsville Inn. But something that I liked about this was the return, sort of the idea of the tree and the branches reaching to pull this stuff back to nature, which again, still trying to find a good way to describe this without saying we're separate from nature. But yeah, so this something about the photos here. The goal of this was to get kind of the creeping branches over to the to our piece of the foundation as it is in ruins and will slowly return. Yeah, Shelby Lynn, you were reading as intended. Well done. So let's just pick the one to work on, and then we'll work on it. But anyway, Chancellorsville Inn, Chancellorsville Inn at the time. The reason it is in ruins, the reason it is not. I think it's gonna be one of these. I know I did closer versions of it. So maybe this one. Nah, I think I want the whole scope of it. I think it's gonna be this guy. This one. No, it's got something in the way. It's a little bit brighter. Let's work on this one. See if this one can be the one to work with. So apparently the Chancellor. That's kind of like a wrist. I think I need the whole thing there. So the Chancellorsville Inn, the United States Union troops were coming down for this battle. I say that like someone made a Facebook event. Yes, guys, show up on this date to attend the battle. But yeah, so they were marching down, and they apparently saw a lot of southern belles and people staying at the inn who were just kind of up on the balcony because of course it's picture old-fashioned plantation manor house. You've got that kind of widow's walk balcony up top. So yeah, you've got these women up there apparently dressed up in their beautiful flowing dresses and without a care in the world. And when apparently they were they interacted with the United States Army, they were told, no, we have assurances from General Lee that we will be fine. And I don't know if that was true. I don't know if that was Lee telling them, or someone from Lee saying, don't worry, we are going to protect you, like you will be safe, or if that was more of Lee being like, the Union's never gonna get this close. You guys don't need to worry. I don't know if it was an actual promise or just kind of an attitude. But so they were staying there, and then the point is that very soon into the battle, the house was hit by Confederate artillery, and was set fire to, and everyone had to flee. So the theme of Chancellorsville Battlefield so far has been, whoops, the Confederates shot their own thing again. And that's, just been the theme there. Okay, so this one, let's see, what was I shooting at? I was shooting at f11, so I'm trying to get the whole thing in focus. And I've done there's a couple other ones that I did where I played with the focus. We'll check that in a sec. But yeah, this one I think needs black and white. This one is just, I don't know. Actually, let's go the other direction. Let's desaturate everything else. Come on. Stop getting rid of my panel. I just want to scroll. Keep that out there. There we go. Let's desaturate. Let's bring the reds up. I want the reds to stand out. We're going to desaturate the rest of it, especially the blues, because there's blue in those. Actually, what if we push? If the theme here is going back to nature, yeah, it's not gonna. We're gonna have to do a. We'll have to do a different selection. All right, masking. Here we go. We're gonna mask. If I tell it to select the subject, what's it gonna give me? This one will actually be easier to get than the canon, but I want to see what the subject does for me. And okay, interesting. Not what I wanted, so never mind. Delete that. We're gonna add. We're gonna do a color. Color range is the way to go here. We'll get reds. Excellent. We're gonna push. All right. Get to there. And we're gonna add that color. And we can widen the lights. Jeez, this thing is okay. You know what? New plan. It's weird that there's enough red throughout this whole thing that it won't let me do that. Okay. What if I try it? Try a color range on the ground and get everything else. That's a start. Okay. I can get stuff kind of around it. There we go. Okay. So add brush. And let's get all of this. Let's get all of this. Let's get everything here. Actually, an easier way to do this, but yep, okay. So add linear gradient. We're just to draw some lines here. Do it like that and get that section. Good. And now I can come back up here with a brush. Can zoom in to about 50%, and we can actually, that's even too far. Let's go to 33%. That's better. And now I can get this whole area more aggressively. I'm gonna switch my color overlay to something. Let's go to red. Actually, let's go to blue. Blue would be better. Cool. Okay, nice. Close that. Thank you. Dealing with green grass, it's easier to do it this way. All right. And we're gonna get this corner. So we are isolating our thing, and now we're going to subtract with a brush just to make sure we get everything off of this guy. I want him to be his own thing. Now we're going to zoom in. Now I'm going to want to zoom in to about 50%. Actually, it's going to 100%. Come up and get the top of this thing off. The edges, get the bottom here. There we go. Little bits and details. The wonderful, slow process of post-production and post-processing. Awesome. Okay, cool. So we've now selected this whole area, so now I can push this more toward green, and I can desaturate it. I can let this be. Yeah, the creeping return to nature. Excellent. And we can go back down and keep working on color as we adjust the. We'll still bring the reds up very nicely. The oranges are going to kind of be the whole thing, so we're going to leave that alone. Yellows, there we go. Bring them down. You know what? I love and hate the yellow. I love and hate the way yellow affects everything here. Okay, cool. Let's stick with that. Come back down here to color. So now I should be able to bring up some oranges. Have it mostly just affect that and a little bit of stuff down here, which I'm fine with. Yellows, can still bring those up and can let it stand out. There is an easy way to select just the shadows, and I think I can do that, Shelby. Then what do you have in mind? The shadows still coming up kind of bluish, which is fine. We're going to leave that as is. We're actually going to brighten them up. Brighten those up. Have the red stand out even more. I've got an idea for what to do with the reds there. We're going to come back to this. I wonder if I'm approaching this wrong. I wonder if I'm coming at this from the wrong direction. That, like, yeah, the red stands out really nicely, but I'm wondering if it's better to have the green stand out and have the red go the other direction. Yeah, I hear you. Let's work on that a little bit. Let's bring we've already brought the saturation down. We're gonna bring that down even more, and we're gonna darken the shadows. There we go. Darken the blacks too, and really get them to so yeah, Shelby, to answer your question, yes, we can. Part of me wants to just... Yeah, I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to ratchet the saturation up on this. I'm going to push it a little more toward green. I'm going to bring the highlights down because I don't want this to... Because I feel like we're kind of getting aggressive there. But I'm going to come down and play with color more down here. That can stay where it is. I'm going to push my greens a little more. I'm going to push my yellows a little more toward green. Give it that nice... Actually, leave the greens where they are. I'm pushing the yellows a little more toward green to give it that nice, really vibrant look. This is coming together. This is what we want. Okay, cool. So, let's see. A little bit of orange. I'm going to do something with this in a second. Yeah, this is what we're looking at. Okay, cool. Blues will keep brighter. Aquas don't need to do much. They can stay dark. The greens, I really like where they are right now. I'm really happy with that. Oranges are a big thing, or yellows. Let's leave the yellows alone. Let's see, oranges. Yeah, I like brightening those up, and then reds I want to bring down. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we're coming up. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. The one other thing I want to do is, and I gotta figure out the easiest way to do this because I want to do another mask. What I'd like to do is, all right. First off, where's my brush? I got a subtract brush on this thing. I want to do a quick add brush just to clean up this a little bit. Let's come into 100%. There's a couple spots here. I'm going to bring the feathering down. This is a little more of a precise measurement, and I want to get... Oop. This is the time that, because I'm working with light and color, this is the time where neatness is going to count. So add brush. Let's do a couple of spots there. Click. Good. Brush is real now, and I can just clean this up. This is one of those times where getting the edges right actually makes more of a difference than you think. So I want to see if I can get that right. That's better. Yeah, this spot right here. This kind of corner here. Running along the edge of the wall. There we go. Getting that color back in there. Same down here. And if you're curious, there is a lot more to this. Like these foundations, I was isolating just this one small bit. The foundations are like, you do kind of have like a floor plan of what what the house looked like laid out in these kind of, you know, knee-high brick walls, which is quite cool. It's a very cool thing to see. Is that being affected? No, that's just a brighter part of the photo. Okay. So now, what I want to do is I want to create one more mask. I'm going to do a radial gradient, do a circle. I'm just going to get a little bit of something here. We're going to work on this. Let's see. What's the best way to do this? All right, new thing. Delete that. This mask, I want to do a duplicate and invert. So I'm just getting pretty much just that thing. Where's my subtract brush? Let's clear out that area there. Let's clean up this. Clean up that spot there. Cool. So now we've just got, pretty much just got our little block here. And now that I know there's spots here, we're going to show the overlay. With that add brush, and we're going to get a couple spots we missed in there. Awesome. Okay, back to this. So now I'm going to do a, let's see, intersect with a radial gradient. That's what we're looking for. I want to invert that. Perfect. I think that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want to do. All right, we're going to come over here. We're going to zoom in. 50% is enough. I'm going to bring the feathering all the way up. Nope, back to here. Back to that radial. We're gonna see what we can do, Shelby. Then I've got an idea for that. We come over here. Bring this up. I ideally want this whole. I'm gonna have to do another little subtract brush on some of this. I think maybe actually not so much. I can bring this up so that cool. And now I can push the saturation up. Actually, I want to invert that again. I can push it more towards red. So I'm just getting a little bit of where just where that branch is touching. We're gonna kind of infect the stones with color. Actually, inverting this and doing it with desaturation might be the better way to go. And then coming down and adjusting the reds. Let's see. Come back up to our mask here. Something kind of like this, where we get the color sort of allowed to like, you know, the only time the color really touches there is, I'm going to duplicate and invert on this. That's going to completely get the whole other rest of the thing. Not what I want. Okay. Undo that. We're just going to duplicate this mask. And now if I go my radial gradient and I invert it, and then I push the saturation up, there we go. That gives me kind of the intended effect that and now I can subtract with a brush. We can bring the feathering up a little more. And I can clean off the spots that, there we go. I can push that a little more toward a noticeable yellow and noticeable red. Let's subtract that. There we go. Something like that. I feel like that's a little bit, needs to be darkened a bit. And put this. A little bit of green, bring the saturation down just a touch. Bring the highlights up. Little details here and there. Oh yeah, a little bit of that. There we go. Yeah, so now as the tree branch hits it, we get that, we see where as it touches it, it's sort of bringing the color back in. I like that. Maybe a little more tweaking to do as we go, but yeah, I'm happy with how that's coming out. Let's go ahead and throw that through. Actually, I'm gonna throw 2 stars on it because I want to work on that one some more. All right, let's go back to the beach. Let's go back and do another beach shot. Let's see, that's Point Pleasant. There it is, beach. All right, so we've already done one here. Let's take a look at some others. Develop. What do we got? Something about this one I just like. Don't know exactly why. I mean, I can explain exactly. I like the composition. I like where the moon is in the thing. I like that you got the sunlight sort of touching it. This one's a quick warm up. Let's get that corner just perfectly pinned in. Let's come in and balance the photo like that. This is going to be an impossible photo to order a print of because it makes no sense in terms of, because it's certainly not a recognizable print size. But that actually, okay. So we bring the clarity up. Don't know if we need to. Dehazing might be the better way to go. Yeah, give us a little more of that contrast. Yeah, but I think, Shelby Lynn, I see what you're saying. That was my first instinct. I think going the other direction, though, was better because it's now where nature touches it is where the color is coming back. And so it's where, like, nature is bringing the color to it. It is not colorful on its own. That's kind of that was my thinking to it. Because I hear you, but like like, that was kind of my first thought, was to to make the red bright and make the ground more desaturated and just, having those sharp shadows. But I think the way we've done it now, it ends up being, if we establish that bright and colorful is nature, then where nature touches should also be bright and colorful, and everything else should be dull. Okay, so this photo is just real simple looking. Let's see. Bring up the highlights, bring down the whites. There we go. Bring the shadows up a little bit just to sort of balance. Let's do a quick select sky. Which should give me, let's see what it gives me. Let's turn this thing back to green because it's easier to tell. There we go. Yeah, that's good. We can now, we're going to leave the texture alone. We're just going to denoise it, which will help. Cool. All right. Let's come back to, we're going to use the healing brush. I'm going to come down to some spots on my lens. This is the downside to me. We're going to go to healing. So the downside to me editing photos from years ago is a lot of them, my sensor was completely dusty, and that's a problem, especially shooting at f13 here. If anyone is curious as to why this happens, just let me know in the chat and I will explain it. But I feel like it's kind of niche photography thing that might only be interesting to me as a photography nerd. So let's get these in. It's a nice easy fix. There we go. Done. Yeah, totally fine. Let's come down to, let's brighten up our blues a little bit. Ooh, desaturating that actually looks kind of cool because now the orange really stands out. And we can, I don't even necessarily know if I want to bring that up. I might brighten it a little bit. Okay, I will happily tell you. So the reason so the way dust spots show up on a thing is I'm not gonna open up my camera right now, but without a lens on it. But if you open your camera without a lens, you've got the sensor, and the sensor is like, yeah, it's the thing that, yeah, where digitally the image is captured. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this one's pretty much done, and move on to another picture. I'll keep explaining in a second. This one, I like this one. I like radio towers. Let's do this, and then I want to come down and do like one of these guys here, where you get the nice wave of rocks going down to our little inlet marker. So anyway, yeah, the reason that kind of thing happens, the reason you get dust spots on the sensor, or the reason you can see them more than anything else, is, let's bring this down. Actually, I like having the space above it. The space above it gives it scope. There's probably a bunch on this photo too. If I start cranking this up, that's that's elaborate. I don't like it. So when you switch lenses, it's very likely dust will get in there. That's a normal thing that happens. Eventually it gets on your sensor. Usually you can't see it because you are focusing on talking again about your focusing distance on your lenses. Usually you're focusing on something far enough away that it's not going to show up. I'm gonna really quickly fix my webcam. Give me one sec, guys. I'll keep talking, so I'll keep explaining. So yeah, usually when that happens, you are, let's click that. So usually when that happens, you're focusing on something far enough away. Let's see, this should get us back to here. Cool. All right. Focusing on something far enough away that, you know, those dust spots are not going to show up. When you have this is only at 6:3, so that's not going to probably won't show up here. When you are shooting something that has let's see, I kind of want to, not sure, declarity, dehaze a little, low clarity, higher, up dehaze. Let's do that. Let's make this a little softer and a little sharper in that way. So yeah, when you're shooting something that has, when you have a high f-stop, which means you have a very deep depth of field, sometimes your depth of field, like, it deepens in both directions. You've got your focus point. So like if we're focusing on, if our focus point is my phone, like, the phone is in focus. But if you have a deep enough depth of field, you'll get me in focus, and you might get the wall behind me in focus. And that's like what we think of as, there's our focus point, and everything, and if it's deep, we'll get everything behind it. But you also get everything this direction, which means you often get your depth of field, at a high enough f-stop, at a high enough aperture, can get deep enough to get to in some ways almost get the sensor itself in focus, and that is how you end up with and the dust spots pop up. So that's how you end up with dust spots showing up on a sensor, and it's usually at the higher f-stop things. If you want to check to see if you have dust spots on your sensor, get in a bright spot. Put your aperture, your f-stop up to like f22 or f20. I mean, usually any double-digit one should probably be high enough, but go as high as you can. And take a picture of a blank sheet of paper, and a blank sheet of white paper, and you will see where dots show up. Of course, now I'm sitting here being like, are those actual dots in this photo, or are those just dots on? Or there's just little, bits of dust on my computer screen. Okay, so this photo is looking pretty good right now. Not sure what else I need to do with it. I'm actually pretty happy with it. Saturation the blues a little bit. I want to bring up bring up the luminosity of the blues there. I think I'm going to do something with the sky, with a mask on the sky. Oh, that's cool. Not just where I want to go with it, but seriously, there's that like light touch of color in the sky is really nice. A little bit of purple, more magenta. Magenta's good. A little bit of, I'm assuming there's some red in here. Yeah, a little bit of red. That's cool. I like that. I do want to go ahead and bring up the oranges here and get a little bit of those striations in the sky, and then I'm going to work on the sky itself. So cool. Did I really desaturated something up here and didn't mean to? Yeah, highlights. That's a bit much. Yeah, I like dehazing this. I like having a little bit of something there. Let's do a select sky. It's pretty much gonna be the only mask I do on this one, which might might end up being the wrong sentence, but we'll see. Cool. All right. So now we can adjust the shadows, adjust the saturation. Something about this, I really don't like that blue. Yo, hey. A little bit of that. And what color do you think the sky is? That's the overexposure of it? You just don't know what to... What's my clipping mask on? No? Nothing's overexposed here. That's weird that you were having issues with that sky. Yeah, you're not happy about this. I don't know why. Just the color separation that you're mad about? Okay. Alright, we'll leave that alone. Brightness in there. Yeah, this is one of those times where if you want to bring up the sky is like, it's because Lightroom is reading this sky as so many different colors. It's one of those, if you want to bring up any of it, you kind of got to bring up all of it because it's reading this, because you have a lot of brights here that are not like, not necessarily, not clipping, not coming up as white, but definitely are all sort of connected there. So if you bring that up, if you bring up any of them, it's going to start getting, like, you're going to start getting that kind of battle between the two sides of it. Okay, I'm happy with that. 3 stars, move on. Let's do one of these. So there's that, there's this, there's that. These are all pretty much equally exposed. That one's brighter, but I think still within the realm of editability. Let's see if I bring the whites down. Yeah, there's a sky there. Let's check this one. If I bring what options I have with the sky, I can bring down. If I bring up the shadows, yeah, I think I got more latitude with this one, so this is the one we're going to work on. All right, step 1, let's get that horizon straight. Cool. Step 2, let's bring this down a bit. One of the things I like about this photo, let's bring this in. One of the things I really like about this photo is kind of the wave of rocks leading us down to the edge. So I like that. I want to keep that. Where's my 11:17? That's kind of it's become kind of a default thing. Okay, nice. So I can I can live with that. That's kind of a nice sort of guides the eye right to the end there, which is our centerpiece. All right, cool. All right, back to this. Let's do some editing. Let's see. First things first, I want to get rid of this little post. I love my guy in red over there. I want to keep him, but this little post, not a huge fan of. Let's get rid of that. So bring this down. Just do a quick little select. Nice, cool. Something else to know when you're cleaning up stuff like that. It's always good to give it a little bit of give a nice buffer around the thing so that it can easily handle the edges. All right, let's see. That looks good. The way the sun hits that is really nice. We're gonna move the clarity here. We could dehaze. I want to do that individually. Let's do. Step 1. Give me that sky. Bring me that horizon. Oof, yeah, feeling that. Nice. Perfect. Okay, so that I want to dehaze. I want to dehaze that. I want to get I'm gonna denoise it. I'll bring the highlights up, the whites up even just a little bit. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah, that's a good start right there. I'm happy with that. Let's do, what else do we want to do? Let me do another mask. Let's do a linear mask that I'm gonna then play with a brush. But I want to do this. We kind of go basically to the edge of the shadow there. Cool. And then we're gonna subtract with a brush. We're gonna get rid of the sand. Get rid of everything that is sand. I want just the rocks. That didn't work. Subtract, brush. Another thing to do, just as a thought, if you're doing brush work, is the first time you do a brush, just do a just click somewhere. Don't try to do a big stroke with it, because that way if you have to undo something, if you undo the first stroke, it gets rid of the whole brush, and you don't want to do that. So give me this color overlay on black and white. Much better. There we go. Now I can see everything. So let's get rid of all this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Here we go. Clear that stuff out. Clear this out. Da 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 da. Undo that because I want to keep the edges of the rocks there. There's a little in the sky that needs to go. Stuff here. Let's be gentle with this. This is gonna be mostly a texture mask, so neatness isn't hugely it's not the worst thing in the world if you're not perfect. But there we go. Cool, cool, cool. All right, now we're gonna do I'm gonna do a flow. I'm gonna bring it down to about 50%, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna bring it up to take it down to like 20%, 25%. Let's do a little bit there. And basically what I'm doing here is, let's bring it up to 100% because I want to clean up this little spot here. Basically what I just did is kind of created a gradient, so the effect will be strongest close to us and weaker further away. All right, so now we're gonna move the texture. There we go. The texture, we're gonna, I don't know if I want to overdo the clarity. We're gonna do that. We're gonna bring up the shadows a little bit. And we're going to push this a little more toward blue. Nice, there we go. Cool. All right. Now what I want to do is duplicate and invert, so I get everything but. We're gonna subtract the sky. I'm gonna start clearing. I want to get the sand. That's what this one's gonna be sand. Subtracted the sky. We're gonna subtract color range. Subtracting the water, much as I can. There we go. Mind, that's weird I guess the sand is still going to come up kind of blue. All right, so then we're going to subtract with a brush, and we can start cleaning this whole area up. A couple spots here that need to be cleaned up. Of course, that was done as a gradient, so this all needs to go, and that's fine. Makes it easy. I don't think I need to keep that area down there, but I'm going to for now. The part that's in the sun. I'm going to keep it for now, and then I'll erase it if I need to. Let's get this. Let's get this stuff here. Let's get kind of off those rocks. This one's going to be a bit of a color adjustment, which when you're talking about, you're doing brush stuff like this where you've got edges, edges of masks doing different things. Light is the one that's the most noticeable. If you've got differences in light, it's the most noticeable where the borders are. If you're doing it with color, it's kind of the second most noticeable. It's kind of in the middle there, and texture is the least noticeable, which is good because that's what we're doing. Let's see. Yeah, let's get it off this section. Let's make that thing smaller so I can just kind of get into that corner. There we go. A little bit like that. All right, now let's clean off the water out here. Let's get the edge of that shoreline. Because I could have done that with a bit of a linear gradient, but that would have been a little bit, would have had to do a little more cleanup of this area. So happy to do it like this. Let's get a little bit of the water down there. Good. All right, awesome. So now I can push this color-wise a little more toward gold. I'm gonna bring the flow down. Actually leave the flow where it is. I'm gonna bring the density down to 50. So I can then clean this stuff off. And it's not, but yeah, this is a track brush. Why is this adding? Guys, what are you doing? Yeah, okay, this should be, okay. Subtract brush. Thank you. Density at 50, so I can subtract this and sort of not get rid of it in total, but I want to lessen the effect because the majority of the effect is supposed to be on the sand. There we go. Now that looks like it matches. That is very cool. I'm really happy with that. All right. A couple of spots here that need to be cleaned up. Let's undo that. Let's go back to our, let's do an add brush. Let's bring our density up to 100. And we're just going to zoom in here and clean these spots up just little by little. This is what we're talking about, color being the, I want to bring the feathering back up. I want this to be, talk about color being the being noticeable. So bits like this, because we push the rocks toward blue and the sand toward gold, so we got to kind of bridge that gap. Not in a whole lot of spots though. It's actually in pretty good shape. A little bit there. Kind of click right in there a little bit. A little bit around this edge. There we go. Very cool. Let it come across. Yeah, that's a substantial difference. Okay, cool. So something like that. That's looking pretty good. Let's come back to our, I want to adjust my crop a little more. Nope, don't want to rotate. It's not gonna let me make this. Oh, there we go. That's it. Is there a reason not let me make this smaller, Lightroom? I think it should be allowed to do that. Let's come down even a little bit more. Come over a bit. Not that much. Make this photo about that kind of river of rocks kind of guiding us down there. And this is one of those moments where like slight adjustments to the crop are going to make all the difference for me. Yeah, I think that fits. And we've got our tower out here and our dude in red who kind of forms some balance there. I'm actually really happy with this. I'm not sure I need to do much more. I want to come back to our sky mask. I want to add a linear gradient. And just flip that around. All right, which direction is this going? It's going there. That's right. Okay, cool. Whether I can fix this or not. Nah, it's not gonna happen. Okay, get rid of that. It's not a thing I can fix. Another thing that needs to be fixed. There's that little white line at the horizon that I'm always like, that's a problem, but it's not. That's just how nature works. If I go back to, if I do the before and after and zoom out, like, you still sort of have that. You still sort of have, it's brighter white, but you still have that line. So, also before and after, this is looking phenomenal. Damn, I'm really, really happy with how this is coming out. All right, let's see. Do I need to do anything with color? I'm not sure I do. I could brighten up the blues, but I'm really happy with the balance I have right now. I can play with the yellows a little bit, but that's, again, happy with the balance. Oranges, I could bring that up a little bit. Don't hate bringing that up and really leaning into that sunset look, but I don't need to. And the softness is kind of nice. Reds, which mostly is literally just our dude out there, but I don't want to overdo him. I'm really pretty happy with this. I think I want to push the tint a tiny bit to purple. Like, what's that now? It's at 34. Yeah, let's just go 40. just the tiniest little bit hint of purple in the sky there, because I'm always a fan of purple hour. But like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I want to do a black and white version because I think a black and white version of this will be great. I like the composition of it. I want to play with it. So we're gonna do a copy. For anyone who's like into Lightroom, there is a snapshot option, which is another thing you can do, where you can kind of just add snapshots of, it's basically like, okay, the settings it is at now, add a snapshot. Settings it's at now, add a snapshot. And you can just kind of click through them and see, kind of, it more or less is designed to kind of be another way to do virtual copies without having to create them. I kind of like the virtual copies, and I need to check with snapshots to see if there's a way to export all the snapshots. Because the thing I like about this is I've got 2 copies. I can select both, and I can hit export, and I'll get 2 separate files as opposed to having to pick one. But yeah, let's look at this in black and white, which is already looking pretty good. I want to come down here to the color stuff, and I want to adjust that so we get a little more of the texture in the sky, but I can do that here just as well. Bringing up some contrast, playing with some stuff. Trying to push that a little bit so we get a little bit of something, some detailing in the sky. I might need to do that separately with a gradient mask. I think I'm going to. Okay, no worries. We'll come back to that. Let's look at our mask here with our rocks and stuff. They're actually in pretty good shape. I want to go to our mask. It's the sand, actually. And just bring that down a bit. Just bring the highlights down. The shadows a tiny bit. Actually, just the highlights. Maybe even the whites a touch, but... Nah, just the highlights. I think the highlights is all we need. We can do a new mask with a linear gradient. This is just going to be for the sky. I'm going to basically mimic what was already there, just to have some kind of separation up there. Do something aggressive like dehaze. It's a bit much. Though a little bit of dehazing here and there is not a bad thing. We take this and kind of angle it a little bit, pull this back. That's on the brighter side of the thing, so we'll do it like this. So yeah, something like that. Gives us a little bit more of that something in the sky. We'll take the noise up and the sharpness down so it smooths it out up there. Same thing with texture. Cool. A little bit of contrast, a little bit of something going on in the sky. That's good. Let's come down to our reds and brighten them up so our man down there doesn't get lost. He still pops up as a little bright spot. Let's see, aquas. What are aquas doing? Aquas are doing a little bit in the sky, but other than that, not much else. Blues are where it's at. I don't want to bring them down too much. I like having a little bit of that. Actually, I think this might be something better done with the mask we have for them, for the stones, and we can bring the blacks down a bit. There we go. Get that nice contrast. Cool. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Your detail is still great. Your focus is still, I think you see the rocks first and it leads you out to the end there, which is awesome. So, boom, and boom. Ratings, 3 and 3. Man, I keep starting these beach photos being like, right, we're going to love, the color version is going to be where it's at, and then very much not. Also, my webcam's white balance is bonkers right now. That if I like do this, if I like, man, are my forearms just that white that if I get them into frame, my camera freaks out and it's like, oh my god, we've gone green. That is bizarre. Okay, let's go back to the battlefield. I'm actually kind of enjoying this sort of switch back and forth kind of mentality. It makes it interesting. Back to the battlefield. We've done a couple of the shots here. Let's do. Actually, we've done a couple really good shots here. This is one that I've been wanting to do. Let's work on this. So you don't often get to look down the barrel of a cannon, and I thought this was a cool thing to do. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do a quick peek on the phone, make sure I'm not missing anything. Cool. What's that? Interesting. Okay. So yeah, you don't really get to look straight down the barrel of a Canon very often, and that intrigued me that I was able to do that here. So we're gonna work on this one because this one is interesting to me. All right. Set this 8.5 by 11. Yeah, take that back. I want this bigger. I want this taller. The shot's kind of designed to be framed the way it is. No, the framing is actually almost perfect. Cool. All right, here's what we're gonna do. So it was made for a little bit of dehazing. Excuse me. Actually, the real easy thing to do with the editing on this one is radial gradient. This one's gonna actually be super easy to do because it's gonna be because we have this perfect circle that's gonna be our centerpiece. Also, the fun thought that I use Canon cameras, so I technically shot a Canon with a Canon, which is the kind of pun that I appreciate in my life. Cool, and now I can reduce the feathering until yeah, no, I feel like my skin is it's weird. I feel like my skin is darker than it like I'm certainly fucking white, but like I feel like my skin is darker than it should be because my ancestry is like entirely Northern Europe. Like it's all German and England, German, English, and Irish here. So it's like there's like whatever tan I do have. It's weird that there are people in the world who have darker or have lighter skin than me. Or not in the world. People in my life who have lighter skin than me. I accept people in the world most likely do and should. But yeah. Okay, so cool. We've got that, which we can now do. We can crank the texture. We can make this. Yeah, we can make this about that Canon. With everything else sort of being. Alright, so now we're going to do a duplicate and invert so we get everything else. I'm going to widen that feather out a little bit so we're not touching the Canon as much as we do the edits around the edges. Actually, I do want to take that feathering entirely down. Like we've got an actual harsh circle we can work with. Let's actually work with that harsh circle, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I never get to do that. Okay. But for once I don't want to do that with it. I want to do that's what I want to do. Okay. So, with no effects on it, we're going to duplicate. There's two versions of this. Here's what we're going to do. With this one, we're going to intersect with a linear gradient. And we're going to get kind of the halfway point here. Gonna get that. Gonna get the stuff below. Nice. And so now I can push that to green. And I can darken those shadows. And I can brighten the highlights and kind of make this much more contrasty because I love the way this works where I've got the like Canon's the center feature, tree coming out the top is the top, and the shadow of the wheel is the bottom. Like that's what drew me to this composition. So I want to do that justice. Could push it all the way to yellow. I think I like the green. I really do. I like that the vibrancy of the green. Vibrance, just the vibrance. I'm making words longer to make myself sound smarter. Cool. And then we're gonna do this one. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna intersect with a linear gradient, but we're gonna go the opposite direction. We're gonna get the top. Get that to sort of balance out straight, kind of like that. Come up here. Something like that. And now we can push that toward blue. These should intersect. Yep, okay, cool. So they're in the right spots. All right, awesome. Back to the linear gradient here. That's a little more blue than it needs to be. A little bit of blue. A little blue. Let's see, clarity can stay where it is. Texture we can kind of keep. A little bit in the highlights. There we go. Gives it that kind of, makes the sky stand out a little more. Yeah, actually, I kind of just want to keep it, let it be bright. Something like that. Bring the saturation up a bit, just to keep with what we got going on here. Let's come back to here. Let's come back to that radial gradient. I want to bring the feathering up a tiny bit, so we get a little bit of that green kind of spilling over. Same with here. I'm gonna bring that radial, bring the feathering up just a tiny bit, so we get more of that blue spilling onto it. Not that much. Something like there. There we go. Cool. That's looking pretty cool. I want to do something with these, with the grass out there. So let's go to here. We're gonna add a brush, and we're going to just brush in that spot there. Do the same over here. Just sort of brush it in. So we're gonna zoom in and do a little more exactly. There we go. Cool. All right, let's come down to our colors. I want to push my greens a little more toward green, because that looks awesome. I want to bring my. I'm kind of happy with the way those blues look. I'm gonna push them, maybe push them a little bit more. Maybe brighten them up, go a little bit more toward aqua, and then desaturate a little bit, just to give it a little bit of that. But yeah, I'm happy with how that looks. I really am. I want to see if I can remove this guy, which will be nice and easy. Let's go back to our healing brush. And here's the thing I'll show you. If I do it, like if I zoom in 100% here, if I do this healing brush, where I sort of just kind of get just the thing, and like don't really give it a whole lot of buffer room, what's it gonna do? Yeah, so you can sort of see right along the side there. Like this is hard to see. Let me zoom in even more. So yeah, just right along the edge there, you get that little touch of yellow because it didn't quite get the whole thing. So we're gonna delete that. We're gonna do it again. And this time we're gonna give it that buffer. We're also gonna kind of come down to there. And now it gets rid of the whole thing nice and easy. I need to do that again because we didn't get the whole sign, but yeah, that demonstrates the difference there. So if you give it that little bit of a buffer, it knows what the surrounding environment looks like a little better, and you're not gonna, it's not fighting with edges. There we go. Cool, happy with that. Actually, if I do the healing brush, might be the better option. Get rid of that. Really, why are you doing this? All right, maybe clone. Weird. Okay, we'll just go with this and live with it. That's fine. No one's gonna notice. Cool. Close. Okay, I'm gonna notice. Why am I getting that little dot? Okay. Let's go to. Healing brush. I got that little bright dot in the middle of that there. I don't like it. I want to get rid of it. I'd like it to not be around anymore. Probably gonna keep it there a little bit. All right, I can live with that. Close. All right. I'm gonna get my fingers to crack a little bit here since I'm doing all the typing and stuff, or all the mouse work. So that one's cool. That one's done. That one's good. There's the mouse. 3 stars. Nice. All right. Let's see what other ones we got from this day. We did a bunch of these. Did a bunch of the tree and the branch here. That I could do more of, but I'm not super feeling right now. Actually, really looking back on this one that we did here, I'm actually really liking that. I kind of want to darken it a little more. I kind of want to bring those. Yeah, leading into that sort of gritty, realistic look, which I don't normally go for, but I do kind of like it. In this case, I like that. A little more texture to the photo. Yeah. Let's see. Shadows. Shadows down. Oh, let's leave the shadows alone. Let's come up here to the, because we've got the grass. Let's do a duplicate and invert. And then we're going to subtract the linear gradient here and get rid of the whole sky. There we go. Because I just want my branch. We'll do that. And then we'll subtract with a brush to clear off the rest of this. Cool. So now I can bring the shadows up on this guy. So you still get the texture. And if I go back to the tools here, I bring the shadows down and everything else, yeah, you still get, you can lose the detail. You can have, yeah, you can bring that, you can still keep the brush, or keep the branch, not the brush, the branch, while darkening everything else down. Cool. That is looking better. I'm gonna give that the 3rd star that it was waiting for. Let's see, I got a couple here where, let's see, one of these I was doing a focus stack on. Is that this one? I think I was focus stacking these 3. Let's try to do a merge on this. It's controller command H, by the way. Let's see what the deghosting looks like if I tell it to do that. Waiting for it to work. I don't want to see the overlay when it's done. There's a lot of that. Wow. Okay. So go to none. Okay, yeah. So let's go medium. Yeah, you can still sort of see the edges of that. I think going with none is the better way to go. Maybe low's the answer. Let's see. I'm gonna try all of them. That's what we learn for each photo. A little stuff around there, but it's not too bad. How's this look? It's not bad. It's medium. I think that'd be the way to go. Let's go ahead and I tell you to auto settings. Pretty good. Let's start with that. Merge. And this probably means my camera's going to skip a little bit. See how long it takes to put this together. Let's see. Cool. Finishing that up. There's the new one. So this is, by doing this, I'm now getting, I've got a really nice sharp focus down here. I've got decent focus there and decent focus on the tree. That'll be a photo to come back. Let's give that 1 star. That'll be a photo to come back and work on in the next session. And see if I like it better than something like this or some of these other ones where I got really close and have to edit my shadow out of the photos. Is that clipping? A little bit. Okay. Let's see, what other shots do I have here that I want to take a look at or want to go back to? I think I might want to go back to the beach. So I was doing shots like this because I like the relation between the cannon and the foundations, because it's the, you know, the foundations of the building is down to its foundations because the cannons destroyed it. So, not these cannons specifically. I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah. Let's see. I do have one photo here that is more of nature, just this pathway that I thought was was pretty, and the way this tree sort of became a centerpiece. Kind of just instantly just draws your eye right to the tree at the end, which I thought was interesting that it just did that. There's the wide shot. Maybe these are all ones I want to come back to, but I think we're gonna jump back to the beach, and that's how we'll finish off tonight. So where are we going? Sandy Hook, Point Pleasant, beach. There's a few more beach shots that I want to take a look at. Gonna stretch. Gonna make the camera look like I'm drowning in cyan. All right, and let's see. I want to take a look at these just to play with them a little bit, just because I want to see if there's a way to make this shot work. That one's not going to be, that frame is not going to be legible. Yeah, this is the one we got to work with. Okay. So I liked this because like the benches this is Point Pleasant Beach, by the way. I think I've said that. The benches down here are, in many cases, they're donated. They're all dedicated to somebody. There's something going on with them. There's a history to them. So when I found this one, and so each of them has a different thing engraved on it. It basically depends on whatever somebody wanted to, whoever bought the bench wanted to put on it. And this one was, this one had seashell in your pocket, sand in your shoes, and I liked that. And then this bench was also destroyed, and I don't know why. And so what happens if I go all the way the other direction? This is gonna turn, okay, so that means editing it in hell. We're gonna push the white balance all the way to blue, and we're gonna work on this more. But yeah, I liked this. I liked the destruction of it. I liked the fence and the shoe prints. I liked this little moment. So let's work on this one. I thought about making this in black and white. That was my original plan, to do it that way. But if I do it in color and push the white balance to blue, so it looks a little more normal, you get the and the seahorse and the dolphin in color, and that's actually really cool. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna bring up the highlights so we get some brightness there. We're gonna move the texture for sure, because that brings out the details. Bring the shadows down. Nah, let's leave them where they are. We're gonna bring the contrast. I don't know. I want to get dehaze. That's the way to go. I want to darken those shadows without darkening the whole image. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna dehaze it. Clarity's not helping this time. Clarity is clarity's not where I want to go. So we're gonna stick with this. Excuse me. Let's see. So blacks, we can bring them down a little bit. I don't want to actually. That's not helping. I can bring the whites up and the blacks down. But that's kind of just resetting the status quo. Though a little bit of extra white in there is a good thing. I'm happy with that. Okay. Let's come down to, yeah, we'll go to there. All right, let's come down to color. Let's see what we can do. Blue. Yeah, let's bring that dolphin up. Green. All right, I'm gonna mute myself and sneeze. Sorry about that. Don't know if that's the end of it. We'll see. Push our greens a little more toward green. Yep, hang on. Okay. Let's bring the saturation down on those. That's a little bit too much for the photo. I don't know where this is coming from. Usually I only have sneezing fits after I eat. This keeps up, I'm going to put us on pause and just, I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to throw us on a pause and get through the sneezes, and I'll be back. Okay, and we're back. And Shelby, it took me a second to realize that Godzilla was your theory for what happened to the bench. I went through a couple other options before I got to that one. All right. Let's see what we got. Not a lot of oranges in this one. Yellows, there's a lot of. We're going to bring the yellows down. I want a little bit of color, but I want to bring the yellows down. Aha, not done. All right. Yellow's down. Red's up a little bit. Does that do anything? Not really. Okay. Let's come down here to this. Bring the brightness of the greens up. Brightness of the blue up a little bit. Yellow is kind of our main thing, so I can bring the brightness of that up, and that gets us, that'll brighten up the whole image kind of by default. Orange, we can bring up that brightness because that'll brighten up the ampersand, but keeping it a little bit dark is a good idea. Purples, helping the dolphin a little bit, but not really much. And magenta's not really doing anything. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. Well then, thank you. I had a friend who used to say Cthulhu because it was the only god that she was like, I respect that god enough to wish they bless you. But I like that. I like Godzilla as an option. Though I'm gonna like going off my wrong-headed Shelby Lynn, you're exactly right. I love it. And here's the thing, you didn't even say it fast. You typed it and it still confused me. So nice job. But I'm gonna say I was wrong, but I think Godzilla might be a worthwhile theory as to what happened to this bench. All right, let's bring the texture down just a bit because I feel like I like the texture, but I also feel like we're sort of losing some of the text in the texture. Let's do a quick brush mask. Real easy, simple thing here. I just want to get rid of that green on the corner. So we're gonna zoom in. We're gonna zoom into 66%. We're just going to get this area here, and we're going to desaturate. We're not going to desaturate. We're going to push away from green. We're going to go, let's see, push it toward yellow maybe. There we go. A little bit of desaturation, a little bit more toward yellow. That's a good start. We're going to widen this up a bit. Sorry for the sniffles. A little more toward yellow to make it fit in there better. Good. Yeah, that works. I can be happy with that. Subtract brush. I'm gonna clean it and take back some of this stuff. There's no reason to do that area. Cool. All right. That one looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead and give it its 3 stars. Actually, I think I want to put a bit of a vignette on this one. Haven't thought about that before, but I think I want to do a little bit of a vignette on this. Just to kind of darken those edges and kind of bring our focus in. Let's do -8. Cool. Happy with that. All right, a couple more photos from the beach, and that's masking the ledge without a brush. Not on this photo, not really. Just because they are there's like slight differences in shadow and texture and color, but not enough to really make a difference. So no, not really on this one. Let's come down to some of the photos here with this these trees here. All right, a couple of these. I think I want to work on this one first. I like this one. Let's do this as an 11 by 17. No wonder everybody likes that. It's barely changes anything. Let's get this thing centered. I can't quite center it and keep the scope, which is fine. So do I center it, or do I put it on do I let it kind of be off center there? I think I want to bring this in a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I like that as the framing. Let's get rid of our friend back here with his camera. Probably a nice dude though. Cool. Yeah, that's what the content aware thing looks like when it works really well. Give me a sec to adjust my webcam here. This is starting to look ridiculous. So Shelby, to answer that question, possible, yes. It would take a long time. It'd probably be a thing better done in Photoshop. That looks so much better on me. Probably a thing better done in Photoshop than done in Lightroom. Photoshop. You have options. You can kind of, instead of doing just with a brush, you can draw like specifically. You can do like a pen tool and go specifically along the lines, and that makes it easier. Okay. Could go clarity and go very harsh on this one. I could dehaze it, which actually looks pretty cool. Let's do this. Let's try select subject. See what it gives me. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Genuinely, just about perfect. I can live with that really well. Let me come in here. Just that one spot there. We're gonna subtract with a brush. Just the one spot in there that I want to sort of clean up a little bit. Not that it's going to matter a whole lot, but actually it might. Let's go ahead and get that. Exact science is not an exact science. 100%. I can live with that. Okay, cool. So now what I want to do is duplicate and invert because I want the sky. Right. Dehaze that a little bit. There we go. I'm becoming a big fan of texture up and clarity down. That gives me a nice. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to duplicate this mask. We're going to reset all the parameters on it. And then we're going to intersect with a linear. Select the overlay, please. Thank you. Because I want the sand. Just like that. A tiny bit of room. Have a wiggle room. Cool. So now I can push the sand a little more toward gold. Turn the overlay off now. Yeah, right like that. Cool. Let's push a little toward purple just to get rid of that green tint because I'm not a huge fan. Excellent. One thing I do on every photo. I think my kind of thing is I want to let the photo tell me who it is. So I sort of let it, like I kind of try to play with the sliders. I think the first thing I do, for the most part, is, all right, we do need to do a subtract brush on this. Actually, an add brush here. Add brush. Like sort of the first thing I do is I usually play with the clarity slider, just because it's one of the ones that does the most, has the biggest effect. That's kind of the first thing I start with. But I mostly just kind of play with the sliders and min max just to see what happens when you go that route. All right. Push that up a little bit. We're gonna bring up the texture on this guy for sure, because I really like that detail. Leave the clarity where it is. Leave the dehaze where it is. Bring it down a little bit. Nah, let's leave the dehaze where it is. Bring the shadows up a bit. There we go. That's nice. Let's see. We're going to zoom in here, try to clean up this spot. Because like we're saying, doing the boundaries between light and dark sometimes. Alright, let's see. I need some track brush. We're going to try to clean some of this up. Couple spots need to be fixed here, which I may save for the next session. It's going to be a decent amount of sitting and just cleaning up, and that's something like, not that I won't do it here, but just prefer to get my, one of those times where I'm like kind of getting in a groove and want to just be like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and like I'm in the mood to just kind of scrub stuff through. And it's not really, this isn't really a teachable moment, not really a moment that's you can do a whole lot with, other than just kind of sit here and just watch me clean this up. And it's better done in fast forward. So I think I might leave this one alone, set its rating to 2 and come back to it, because I like how this picture's coming out. And I think if I just take a quick peek at a black and white version of it, this is gonna be good in black and white as well. It just has that, they just very nice white horizon kind of thing, which I'm a big fan of lately. All right, let's see. What are the ones out here that I want to work on? There's this one, which is probably just gonna be a copy and paste of the effect of the. Actually, probably this one. This is gonna be it's like a copy and paste of the same effects. So we'll come back to that one. What else we got? We got this guy. The people on the edge there. Let's see. Realizing I've done this whole thing as a beach shoot, and I haven't actually done a real good shot of the water yet. Let's see. Got this one with these two people standing on the ledge there. That's kind of cool. Let's work on this one. Let's have a little bit of, let this be a little bit of a human drama thing going on. We're going to divide this 11 by 17 again. Get some nice thirds going there. Cool. All right. Turn cropping off. Go ahead and bring up the clarity. So see, clarity is kind of the first place I go, because I usually clarity tends to give me that darken it up, give me that nice texture in it, which is something that I very much like. Let's go ahead and just push this in a little bit, because I want to center it on them, or center it on the space between them. It's funny, I've looked at this picture a bunch of times since taking it, and I've always wondered, what are they talking about? It's always been something I've been curious about. Let's see. Okay, so the vibrance is a little high on this one. That's mostly just the yellow. So I do kind of like that you're getting that right. That's right where the sunlight is touching. Dehazing's a mistake. Let's leave that alone. No, I'm actually kind of liking the way it's balanced. I want to come down here and play with the colors a little bit, but I'm actually pretty happy with it. Let's see. Bring the saturation and then the vibrance, the luminance of the blues up, which kind of has a twofold effect. It does kind of bringing the blues up a little bit helps us to not be quite as blown away by or bowled over by the bright orange, but it brightens up the background behind them, so they stand out more, which is nice, because the sand back there is blue. It's coming as blue. There we go. Bring that up. Aquas, yeah, we'll bring that up. We'll definitely up the saturation on the aquas. Any chance to use aqua, I'm a big fan of. For some reason, I don't know. Aqua just kind of ends up being the not like the black sheep of the color sliders, but just the one that doesn't get a lot of love. There's not usually things that are aqua are like unless it's very specifically aqua. Usually it just kind of lives on blue, and aqua is just sort of the little remora fish hanging on. So any chance I get to give let aqua shine a little bit, I like to try to do that. Now we're gonna bring the oranges down and the yellows down, the oranges up, because that way ooh, cool. Shelby Lynn, you subscribed. I feel like that should have happened sooner, but thank you. Yeah, there's a story to this. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something going on here. Now I want to do a little bit of healing here. I want to clean off. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. I'm gonna get rid of that. Nice. And then we'll see if I can get rid of this post. Like that. This one might need to be done with a healing brush. Where did you just put that? Okay. Right, I'm trying to looking at the lines of light on the thing. I want to try to get them to line up. I'm gonna pull this down a little bit. I'm gonna do this again. Need more of a buffer above and below it. There we go. Let's get the whole thing. Try the remove option first. Gotcha. Well, I'm glad to have all of your accounts subscribed, Shelby Lynn. It makes me happy. Best one's this one. We're going to go with this. Yeah, it works. Yeah, there we go. And then I want to do one other thing where I want to select. I tell it to select people. Let me see. Sometimes it actually is able to select to detect people. Didn't want to this time. Okay. So we're going to zoom in. We're going to zoom in actually 400%. Onto our dude here. Brush. Get this guy's face. I'm going to do the same thing with our other friend's face as well. I want to desaturate a bit. Not that much. And I want to brighten up the highlights. Bring down the whites. Up here in this, get the whole head there. There we go. Cool. Now I can come on over to our other friend. His pants are very white. I'm going to do a different brush for this person. New mask, brush. Edge of their face there, just like that. Saturation down. Whites definitely down. Highlights down. There we go. Saturation can go down even a little bit more. Let's see, the highlights can stay up. Gives a little bit of brightness there. And yeah, his pants are very white. I don't have a problem with that actually. I kind of like it. All right, good. Go back to here. Kind of click us. I'm curious what a black and white version of this would look like. Still sort of interesting, actually. That grows on me a little more than I thought it was going to. Especially if I come down here to blues and push the blues up. Push the blues up, push the purples up. Cool. There's a black and white version. That actually looks pretty crisp. Set that to 3. Second copy. Here. We'll go back to the black and white. Change. Should be here. Here. There we go. Awesome. So the colors I'm adjusting the black and white. I mean, it's based on what what was in color before. Like, knowing that this is, and part of it just it's trial and error, but knowing that knowing the water is gonna be blue. So yeah, can pull that down, and then the other thing I'm just doing, and same thing I do with regular colors. I look at, okay, I look at the relationship. So look at the relationship between the colors. If I bring the blues way down, actually this photo is not really a great example for this, but like. Yeah, if I kind of do the oranges and the yellows at the opposite ends, you see kind of like, you get this weird rough sort of blobby pattern there. So I like to let it sort of, I like to try to find the balance of just the relationship between the colors as I adjust each one. So yeah, it's kind of just, it's knowing what the colors might look like, and then it is, kind of knowing what they look like before, and then it's just from there adjusting the linear gradient. I want to add some texture to the water here. Yeah, just knowing that and knowing what the colors are, and then sort of playing to see how they relate to each other. And that's it's an interesting tool that we have, that it's just like, you don't think of color in a black and white, like color in black and white being yeah, Shelby, there is. I'll look at that in a sec. You don't think of color in a black and white photo being important, but it actually is. It makes a difference. Same thing here with me adjusting the color temperature of the water in black and white. It does actually make a difference. Let's see, what does that graffiti say? Let's move to 100% so we can read it. I think that says happy birthday. I think that's what that is. I think that's 200%. Yeah, that says happy B-Day. So, you know what? That's actually perfect. That'll be our button to end tonight. So we've done almost a 3-hour stream. That is fucking awesome. All right, let's come back to just me, which I have hotkeys for this. I don't need to be looking at I'm still gonna be looking at the thing. What am I talking about? Cool. So today's stream. Let's look back on it. We started at Skate Fast, Eat Ass, and we ended on Happy Birthday. That's a character arc I don't think anyone was expecting. I didn't know that was coming. This is phenomenal. So thank you all for joining, for being part of this, for anyone who stuck with the whole thing, for anyone who stuck with, came in and out a little bit. Very much appreciated. All the photos that we've edited today, once I kind of finish a second pass on them, will be available on my website, which is twistedinnature.zenfoliosite.com. You can find all of my stuff either through erichackler.com or my Instagram at twistedinnature. So that's all there. The other thing you can find there is one of my favorite things to talk about are these postcards, branded original Twisted in Nature postcards. Each one has one of my favorite nature photos on it. So you've got Dream Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. You've got Antelope Canyon on the Navajo Nation in Arizona. You've got Marjorie Glacier in Glacier Bay National Park in Alaska. And you've got Natural Bridge in Virginia. These are some of my favorite spots in the world, or in the U.S. And the cool thing is, on the back of them, they all have a QR code. Hey, Maria Lisa. Hi. They all have a QR code, so whoever you send them to can scan the QR code, and we'll be able to put in, here, put in their address, their zip code, their location, and then you'll be able to see a map and be able to see where all the postcards have gone. So that's a cool thing. Those, along with the prints of the photos, these are available on my website and on my Etsy store for I think it's about, you get a set of 5 for about $13, and you can connect with people. So that's what I ask. That's what yeah. If you're not sold on a print yet, maybe get a collection of postcards and send some people some of these cool photos, and let them, and how we can all connect over where they go and where they go and all the different adventures that we all get to have, and we can hopefully share. So with that all said, thank you very much for being part of this. Thank you very much for joining. It is such a joy to be able to share this with you. Stephanie, I'm glad my voice was helpful with getting schoolwork done. I like to, if I'm able to put out positive, creative, like, let's keep doing stuff vibes, that I have fulfilled my obligation, and I feel good. So thank you all. Thank you for joining me on this phenomenal journey from skate fast, eat ass to happy birthday. That is, I could not imagine a better way to spend my Friday. With that said, be safe, be well, keep making art, keep doing awesome stuff, and we'll be back again next week to do more. Oh, one other thing. This is a cool little announcement I get to make. I've been hired by a company called Orbital to teach little photography classes and meetups here in Richmond. So if you're in the Richmond area and you the first class I'm doing is a beginner class is the 28th. So I think that's next Saturday morning. If you go to richmondphotographygroup.com or Richmond Photography Group on Facebook, that's the name of the group, you can find the event, you can sign up for that, and you can come and join me for another 3 hours where we will talk about all the different details of the camera, your ISO, shutter speed, all the basics, and kind of get you jump started into knowing how to use your artistic instrument. So, thank you. Shelby Lynn, that is the best possible typo. Thank you very much. My heart agrees with what you were trying to say. The anxiety in the back of my head agrees with what you did say. So this works out beautifully. You're covering the whole thing. I'll tell you in a sec. But yes, with all that said, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being part of this. Hopefully we will be able to share more photography and more stories and more just wonderful times again. And Shelby Lynn and Stephanie, if you get that meta napping thing going, definitely.
It's already started.
It's already started. Perfect. It's already started. If you make it public and start opening it up as a small business, let me know. We will advertise that on the channel. All right. Be safe, everybody. Be well, and we'll see you next time.